So welcome everybody to another session. Today we're going to have a Q&A. It's going to be all about diving into the executive functioning skills. And I don't really have an agenda. I would like to be in service to all of you with whatever questions you may have. I do have a full-length course that you can take. Some of you have taken it, I guess. Some of you maybe not. But it's helpful to become aware of all the skills that we use on a day-to-day basis to create time to reflect about our relationship with them, and then to be able to look at our day-to-day reality, habits, behaviors, dynamics from different perspectives. And this is why executive functioning skills are so important, because they relate to organizing, they relate to minimalism, they relate to habits, they relate to communication and social engagements. They relate to pretty much every area of your life. So that's why this is a course, this is a topic that we all can benefit from, we all can remind ourselves about and become more and more aware. Yeah, Becca, I am outside. I don't know if you can see a little bit of my motorhome in the background there. My cat Negrito is inside, but yeah, this is the background of a house that I am sitting. I am doing house sitting, and I'm taking care of a dog called Barkley, a wonderful dog. I take him for walks, and yeah, it's a beautiful property with lots of nature. So that's why I chose to be outside, and hopefully this environment helps with grounding too. So I'm curious to know if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any impulses that you would like to share, any experiences that you would like to share and explore with us, with me, on how to look at it differently. I can also give you guys a quick rundown of the skills, the different skills, so that we kind of get a refresher. And from there, we can maybe dive into the ones that feel relevant for all of us. Hi, Liz. Yeah, Peta says it's a great course, beautiful where you are. Thank you, Peta. So let me know what you guys prefer, because this is a live session and I want us to co-create this together. Hi, Robert. You are new. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining my live session. Becca says, sure, a rundown, please. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Because to be honest, I also have a list, because it's very easy to forget, right? I have a journal, and I did a session like this many months ago, and I just recovered all the information that I have written down in my journal. So allow me to give you guys a rundown of the different executive functioning skills. And remember that we are trying to put names into something that it's pretty abstract. Okay, so just bear with me with the names that they have been chosen, but just get the concept more than the name. Okay, but basically, when we talk about executive functioning skills, okay, there are three areas that when I created the course and I was studying all of them and I was becoming aware, there are three main areas that I recognize. So there are three skills that allows us to kind of manage our thoughts. There are two skills that allow us to kind of emotionally self-regulate. And there are 9 skills that allows us to kind of manage our life, take action, organize, take care of the physical aspects, etc. Okay? So always remember that you are not using one skill isolated at a time. You are most likely always using several skills at the same time. So they blend together, but it's important to kind of isolate them so that we understand the concept, that we understand what they do, that we can become aware of our relationship with each of those skills. And then from there, we can start exploring different ways of using them, complementing them, okay? And it's really important also to recognize that I don't like to think about dysfunction, that we have a dysfunction. I would like to think about complementing how our brain works, okay? That's a really important. I don't like labels. I feel that they are very limiting. And I think that our brain has a lot of power to heal, to create new connections, to learn new things. And we are always have the opportunity to do that, okay? So the first three executive functioning skills that allows us to manage and be aware of how we think, they are working memory, they are adaptable thinking, also known as cognitive flexibility, and we have metacognition, okay? So working memory is the way we use our memory to capture information, to remember information, okay? Sometimes we need information to do tasks. Sometimes we use long-term memory. Sometimes we use short-term memory. It's basically your relationship with memory, okay? And then if you have a good working memory, you are the kind of person that will remember things very easily. You don't need to write things down. You don't need lists. I see sometimes waitresses that they come to the table, like the last time it was a table of 9 people. And they say, what do you want? First, second, drinks? Yes, sure, yes, sure, yes, sure. They didn't write down anything. And I was amazed. It's like, wow, that is really good working memory and practice, right? Some other people, they need to write everything down, okay? So I'm in the middle. I have journals, I have to-do lists. So that's it. That is one of the skills, okay? Working memory. The next one is adaptable thinking or cognitive flexibility. And this is our ability to adjust to changes. This is our ability to see the reality from different points of view. Okay, this is our ability to, if we have something planned and something happens and everything changes really fast, this is our ability to kind of, okay, so let's adjust, let's see what we can do instead. And then that's why it's called cognitive flexibility, because it's your ability to be flexible, to change fast, and to don't get stuck in a specific situation, okay? And then the next one, the third one, is metacognition. And metacognition is probably one of the most important ones. Metacognition is your ability to become the observer of what's happening, of yourself. So this is basically very connected with mindfulness, very connected with being present, very connected to being able to think about how we are thinking. It's basically you having the capacity to kind of sit down on a couch and see a screen of your life, and you see yourself behaving, feeling, acting, and from that place of non-reaction, no need to do anything, you are fully present, you are accepting what is without getting involved in the situation, in the emotion that is happening. From that place, you have a way wider perspective of what's going on. And from that place, you can then choose to do something different if you want to, or just let things be how they are. So metacognition is that skill that, for those of you who meditate, for those of you who try to find places, try to find activities, try to find solitude, to just be reflective, that will be you using your metacognition, okay? Lorette says, are all these in the prefrontal cortex? So Lorette, I'm not really sure about the physicality of it in the brain, to be honest. I don't remember. But again, this is something that what I want you to get out of this, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I don't want you to get lost in all these names. I want you to start noticing what you resonate with, and then start exploring and expanding on the one that you feel is next for you now. Because you're not going to look at all of these all at once. It's very overwhelming. But if you feel inspired to really know where are they in my brain, so that's a nice Google search, a nice ChatGPT, whatever, and then you can kind of become familiar with that. So I'm not really sure if they are. But basically, these skills, they are the CEO of our brain. They operate how we function. That's why they are called executive functioning skills, okay? So those are the 3 skills that control the thoughts, manage the thoughts. Then there are 2 skills that allows us to manage how we feel, our emotions, allows us to self-regulate, okay? So those 2 skills are emotional self-regulation is one, and then impulse control or response inhibition That's another one. It has two names, okay? So emotional self-regulation, the word explains it pretty well. It's the way you emotionally self-regulate your nervous system in different situations, okay? This is a very important skill that you are going to nurture as you go through these skills, as you move through triggering situations in your life, as you heal maybe traumatic experiences that you had, as you try to observe yourself, and then judgments, limiting beliefs come up and make you feel intense emotions. Maybe you feel fear, maybe you feel shame, maybe you feel guilty, maybe you feel not good enough. Like all of those emotions that are going to run through your nervous system. Emotional self-regulation is your capacity to be able to be present with them, to be able to explore them, and then to be able to don't react from them. And that's where the impulse control or response inhibition comes in, because response inhibition, impulse control is your ability to don't react to what's happening. And you are going to be using your metacognition that we talked about before to be able to be present, to be able to observe, and to be able to create a pause between what's happening and you reacting to what's happening. And that's your capacity to control your impulses, okay? And then the last 9 ones of these executive functioning skills, and then I will take questions and we can talk about them more. They are going to allow you to manage how you act, how you behave, how you organize, how you function in your day-to-day life. So they are more oriented to like time management, physical organization, transitioning from task to task. So the skills are task initiation, okay? So your ability to initiate a task, attention control and focus, that's another skill. How is your capacity to stay focused on a specific task, and how long can you be focused for? And this can change depending on the kind of task. This can change depending on the environment. It's a very powerful one to kind of reflect about and then see where you are at so that you can honor how your brain works. Another one is time management. How do you manage your time? Another one is task completion. So task completion means the definition of the meaning that you create about completing a specific task. And if you are good at task completion and defining what a completion means, you may be successful and you may feel that you have done it. And if you have a very big task completion definition, then you may feel that you never finish it. So we can talk about more about that, because task initiation and task completion, they relate a lot with procrastination, with perfectionism, with feeling overwhelmed, etc. Okay. Another one is organization in general. How do you organize yourself? How do you organize your physical space? How do you organize like stuff around you, right? The next one is planning. How do you plan? Okay. And how does your brain like to plan? Do you like to plan with written stuff? Do you need to draw something? Are you a visual person? Are you a person that needs to write things down? Understanding how you plan and what works for your brain is important. Another one is sequencing. Okay, sequencing is your ability to take something very big and chop it into small tasks that you can complete. And maybe they don't need to all happen in one day or in 1 hour. But this is sequencing works really well when you have a big project, when you have a big task, and if you are able to sequence that big project into smaller steps, you are going to feel less overwhelmed. You are going to have an easier time initiating a task and completing a task. You are going to feel fulfilled when you do it, and you are going to be able to manage way better procrastination, perfectionism, limiting beliefs that may stop you or sabotage you, etc. Okay, so sequencing. Prioritizing, it's the second last one. Prioritizing means your ability to recognize right now what is the most important thing that I need to do, and then after that, what is the next important thing that I need to do, and be able to prioritize things in a way that makes sense and in a way that serves you in achieving what you need to achieve or creating what you need to create. Okay. And the last one is called transitioning or shifting your attention from task to task. So transitioning is also a very important skill that you are going to use all day long, because you are going to be transitioning from being at work to being at home, transitioning from being alone to being with your partner, being alone and being with your children, being alone and being in a social environment. You may be transitioning from doing work with tools to maybe cooking dinner, to maybe going and doing the dishes, to maybe transition into laying in the couch and relaxing. So every time you are transitioning, it's not just a physical layer. There is a physical layer that maybe you need to get things ready, put things away. And this relates a lot with organizing, with procrastination, with decluttering and creating clutter, physical clutter. Because if you don't transition in a physical way and you don't put things where they belong, and everything that you are doing leaves a trace of stuff behind you, that will create a lot of physical clutter. There is also an emotional layer when you are transitioning from doing something that is analytical to maybe doing something that is physical, to maybe doing something that is social, to maybe going from being alone, exercising at the gym, to maybe entering parenthood and being with your children. It's a completely different energy that you are stepping into. So transitioning is something that we can master, we can nurture, we can become aware of. What do we need to transition better from this to this? And this is always where reflection comes in place, recognizing that maybe you are feeling challenged by transitioning from a specific scenario to another specific scenario. And that is your opportunity to, with this list of skills that I have given you, reflect about which ones are activated here, which ones can I use differently. Okay, so these are the skills. I ran down pretty quick, but let me know. Now we can enter a little bit of a Q&A. Now we can talk about specific situations in your life, and maybe we can explore how these skills are activated, how maybe they can be used differently, which complementary strategies may be helpful for you. So let me know if you have any questions, if you want to explore something. Wesley says, how are you doing? How long have you been meditating here? Wesley, I guess that's a question for me. So I'm doing good. Oh, look, Beckley's here. Beckley. I am on a very emotionally intense chapter of my life where there is a lot of uncertainty. So this is a great opportunity for me to practice self-regulation, for example, to practice cognitive flexibility. Right now, I am alone. My partner, Samantha, and my daughter, they are back in Ontario for a visit, and they are going to be there until September 30th. But today I got a message that she wants to stay for another 25 days. So that kind of made me realize, wow, like there is something for me to explore about being alone for such a long time. And also for me entering this, well, I spent the last 9 months being a father and being a partner. I'm always being with them, to now being completely alone in houses that I don't know, with pets that I don't know. So it's a very interesting scenario. And I've been on Insight Timer since COVID. During COVID, I initiated and I became a teacher right away. And I've been using the platform for meditation too, quite a lot. So Peter says, that was great. The list so I can remember. Amazing. Yeah. Honestly, having that list is really important. And guys, if you want a printed version, I do have one. So send me an email or send me a message with your email, and I'm happy to send you what I have on Word or PDF, because I understand. But sometimes writing it down can be very helpful, okay? So thank you so much for breaking those down in such a clear way. You are welcome, Marjorie. Rain says, Rain, I like your name. Sorry, I lost your message, 1 second. Thought-provoking list, so many executive functioning skills are such a struggle for us ADHD people. Yeah, Rain, it makes total sense. I feel overwhelmed when I read the list, and it took me a while to become familiar with it. And it took me a while to be able to create the course, and it still takes me a while to use them so that I can reflect about what's happening in my life and I can put them into better practice. So it makes sense and it's normal, okay? So for those of you who are feeling the same way that Rain is feeling, that's why I feel that honoring how your brain works, if that is creating a basic list with just the names on a piece of paper and you reflecting on them, if that is putting something visual in a place that you can understand, there are different strategies for different people, but I really invite you to find the way that works for you to remember every day about these skills. I listen to lots of podcasts. I read a lot about each specific skill. I reflected a lot about each specific skill in my own life, how I was using them, things that I felt I could do differently. So it's complementary, right? There are so many things that you can do, but maybe doing too many things can be overwhelming too. So hopefully you can find a way to make this less overwhelming. And this is when you are using your sequencing that I was talking about. Sequencing means, how can I take this overwhelming thing that is causing me anxiety right now, and what does my brain need right now so that I can be present with this, so that I can find an entry point to get started. And maybe that is for you writing them down, reading the list one time, and then recognizing which one of these skills right now is the one that I feel the most inspired to explore. Which one is the most relevant for me right now in my life? Or which one is the most relevant, or which ones are the most relevant in this situation that is a challenge for me right now in my life? And this is why this live, hopefully we can get into some examples of your life if you are willing to share and be more specific. Yeah, it's a PDF on your website. It's not on my website. I guess I could put it somewhere. Yeah, let me see. If you guys stop the comments for 1 second, because every time you share a comment, they go away and I cannot stop reading them. So why does anxiety make it so hard to think clearly? And what can I do in that moment? Patrick, beautiful question. So why does anxiety make it so hard to think clearly, okay? And what can you do in that specific moment? So first of all, let's all take a deep breath, maybe a couple, okay? Like, just pause, inhale as much as you can. And then exhale, allow yourself to make noise. Use your hands up and down if you want. Sometimes just movement, maybe tapping on your chest a little bit, maybe tapping on your face a little bit, maybe jumping up and down. Doing something that is somatic is gonna help you come back to the present moment, okay? When you are deeply breathing, Patri, you are connecting with the present moment and you are calming your nervous system, okay? You can put your hands on your chest and your belly if you want while you breathe. Take a breath, right? And then the invitation is for you to just pause. When you are pausing, you are using your metacognition skill, okay? You are using your metacognition to be able to see what's happening from an observer point of view. You are using your emotional self-regulation so that you can calm your nervous system down and you don't keep accelerating the anxiety more and more and more. Okay? That's why deep breathing, doing something somatic, movement can be really helpful. And then when you are a little bit calmer, okay, then you can reflect about, try to understand what's happening. Why are you feeling anxiety? And there are many layers here, okay? And there are many paces that are going to unfold depending where you are, depending what you are dealing with. If you are dealing with something that is very charged, emotionally speaking, it's gonna be very difficult for you to be present, to look at it, and you're gonna need more practice, more distance, okay? If it's something that is not as charged, you're gonna be able to go there a little bit easily, and you're gonna be able to see what's happening a little bit more clearly. But important, right? Metacognition, emotional self-regulation, coming back to your breath, maybe finding a short meditation that helps you just ground. I love Insight Timer because I can put a keyword and I can find different lengths of meditation, and then you can just do the one that is gonna work best for you. In that moment, if it's anxiety, you can search by anxiety. You can find the length that your attention control, your ability to be focused for, can handle. So don't find a 1 hour one. If you have a hard time staying there for an hour, try to find a 5-minute one, a 2-minute one, a 10 minutes one, and then try to understand and learn which one works best for me in this situation. Okay? Impulse control, very important. Try to be aware of what your body, what your mind wants to do, and always create a pause. I know it's very difficult to do it in the moment, but I promise you that the first time you won't be able to do it, but you are going to remember. The second time, you're gonna maybe be able to remember and not do it. Maybe a few times later, you are going to start pausing, even though you may end up doing the same thing, but at least you are going to pause for maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds. And then I promise you that slowly you are going to build up on your impulse control capacity. And then the more you, all of these skills together, the more that you unfold them and nurture them, the more capacity you're gonna create to be present, to self-regulate, to create a pause and don't act impulsively and do something that you are going to regret after. And then the more you can do that, the more you're going to self-regulate. And the more you self-regulate, the more clearly, the more present you can be, the more you can see, and then the more you can understand what's happening. What was the trigger? What is the emotion that is running right now? What is a limiting belief that maybe I am running? What is the voice in my head telling me? Is that really true? What am I grateful for? What is working in my life? Like, I have a tendency to go to the worst case scenario very quickly. And when I go down that spiral, I can tell you that everything becomes so dark, so negative, so difficult, so heavy, that doing all these things, I won't be able to do it in that moment. That's why it's so important for me to, if I'm already in the darkness, I will just stay there for a little bit. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to chat with anyone. I don't want to share with anyone. I just want to be alone. I will be grumpy. I will be impatient. Everything will be inconvenient. And I will not be a fun person to be around. But when I come out of that, eventually, sometimes hours, sometimes days, lately it's been weeks sometimes because I'm dealing with very big things. But when I come up, I realize, wow, like, so what was the trigger? What happened? And then what can I do before I completely enter that darkness, right? So it's a learning opportunity. And I hope that this is helping you get started. Okay, was that helpful, Patri? And let me know if you want to share more details. Then let me go back to the comments. I also go to worst case scenario when all logic says that results unlikely. Yeah. Yeah, Robert says, I get obsessive thoughts that cause me anxiety. How should I dissociate that thought with a feeling of anxiety because I know the thought is nonsensical? Yeah, Robert, this is what I was saying, that many times, Robert, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with generational trauma. I'm sure you guys are familiar with conditioning, with limiting beliefs. What I notice in my life, many times I do have voices in me, I do have fears in me that truly are not mine, because I didn't experience that. And I don't have a logical reason to be afraid of that, because it never happened to me in this life. But I know that it happened to my parents, it happened to my grandparents. So I feel that sometimes there is this generational trauma, generational conditioning, this generational predisposition to have something passed to you that is not yours. And it feels illogical. It feels that it doesn't make sense in your reality, but you are feeling it physically and you are having a reaction. And that reaction creates anxiety, that reaction creates overwhelm. And the opportunity here is to use these skills to try to be present, to try to kind of start taking layers off and try to understand what's happening. What is the voice in my head that is telling me that this is going to happen? What is this fear that I'm feeling coming from? Is it really true? And what is really working in my life? Especially when I go to worst case scenarios, sometimes I get so deep in the rabbit hole that I have a really hard time getting out of it alone. But sometimes maybe Samantha comes, or I am talking with a friend, and they start listing me all the possible scenarios that can happen that my brain didn't think about. And when I start putting that into perspective, I realize, like, wow, my brain went to this extreme case, right? And I am only thinking about this extreme possibility, but there is this much that can happen too. And nothing is really true, because in the present moment it's not happening. This is something that is in my head. This is something that I am projecting in the future, right? This is something that I'm afraid of that didn't happen yet. So it's really important the more we can be present, the more we can breathe, the more we can really use our metacognition, our mindfulness, our presence to really understand, okay, this voice is coming up. Okay, this trigger is being activated. Okay, I am feeling this in the pit of my stomach. Okay, here it goes on my throat. I'm feeling this here on my throat. Okay, here I am feeling that I want to hide and I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to share this with anyone. So to me, all those are signs of, wow, I need to do this, because if I don't, I'm going to go down to that rabbit hole again. And I know what's going to happen when I'm there. That it will take me a while to get out of it. So that's why the more you recognize the triggers, the more present you can be, the less likely you are to go all the way down, and the more likely you are to start managing things better. Okay? So I hope that helps. Yeah, we call that ancestral memory. Yeah, thank you, BD. That's another name. Amazing. That's a good point about being in our head. I find it hard to get out of my head. Yeah, Ravinder, it's so important to get out of your head. It's so important to have any kind of practice that allows us to be present, allows us to disconnect with our experience for a little bit. And that is the metacognition skill that I was talking about. That is mindfulness. That is, you can call it meditation, you can call it self-care, you can call it grounding, but any activity that allows you to breathe, be present, listen to what's going on around us, observe what's happening. Like sometimes that helps us come to the present moment. Sometimes disconnecting from the senses is really helpful. Sometimes maybe laying down, closing your eyes, putting earplugs, or putting music that allows you to disconnect sensory-wise from everything, and then allowing yourself to just get lost in nothingness. That can be really helpful. So there are different ways, and again, for every person, depending on the situation, it's gonna look different. But that's why it's so important to be curious. So important to don't think that we know everything that we can and cannot do, and really be curious about what can I explore? What are possibilities that I didn't think about? And really use that cognitive flexibility, okay, to really be flexible, really be curious, really take your brain away, take your logic away. Someone is saying what your brain is telling you is not always true, it's not a fact. So understand that that is what's happening. The brain is like, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to believe everything that it says, okay? You can be curious, you can listen to it, but you don't have to act on it. Yeah, a measurement on challenges makes sense. I'm dealing with a big thing right now. It's been a few weeks. Self-compassion helps. Yeah, Becca, I hear you. And I have also been in a few weeks of feeling very lethargic, feeling low energy, feeling like I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep, being grumpy, and just, I don't know, just being lost in this heaviness and being very negative. I'm in Vancouver Island, a beautiful place to do many things, and I couldn't find something that excited me to do. And it's like, wow, Emilio, you are really in the deep hole here, because you like hiking, you like nature, you like so many things that are here now, and you cannot see them. So that's a really point for me to be able to be aware of, yeah, I have to do something. And at the same time, as you say, Becca, self-compassion, I don't want to judge myself. I am here for a reason. And I want to believe that there is something here for me to learn. And it's important to be able to be present with the good stuff and the things that feel good, and also the things that are challenging. Because many times, well, the only way is through. If you are feeling something challenging, the only way you can process it, heal it, overcome it is through it. There is no avoiding it. You can avoid it for a while, but eventually it's going to come back to you. So that's why it's important to really be willing to be curious, be willing to explore, be willing to try new things, and asking for help, sharing what's happening with the people that you trust. And yeah, Robert says, sometimes I try to thank the thoughts for trying to help me, but say now I need to focus on the present moment. Yeah, Robert, and this really ties very well with internal family systems. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but I did do a live session, and there is an episode on my podcast that you can listen to about internal family systems. But what you are saying, there are different parts of us that are going to get activated depending what's happening. And using executive functioning skills, especially metacognition, so being able to be aware and to listen and observe, and impulse control, being able to don't impulsively take action, and emotional self-regulation, being able to stay present with that activation, with that emotional charge, without having to do anything, without getting lost completely in it. So nurturing the capacity to explore it, but at the same time knowing where the limit is and doing that at a pace that feels good to you. So that is what internal family systems does. They try to connect with those parts of yourself. They try to understand the reason why they are there. They try to validate them, to really recognize that they are truly trying to be helpful, but they are using strategies that are stuck in the past, and they no longer serve the present moment, as you say. But it's so important not to push them away. It's so important not to shut them down. It's important to really see them, to validate them, to thank them for what they have done, and to then let them know, I got it. I got it from here. You can relax. I will take care of myself. Now I have more capacity, more presence, more tools, more support, and I can do it differently. and you are coming with me. You are not staying there alone. You are coming with me. And that is very emotional, right? I'm already almost crying because when I say that, I feel so much compassion for parts of myself that many times they stay in the dark because I don't want to see them. I don't like them. I feel shame about them. I don't know how to manage them. And this process of bringing them to the light and being able to be present and being able to talk to them and being able to co-create something together moving forward, that is the healing, that is the overcoming, that is the you unlayering all the things that need to be unlayered so that they don't trigger you anymore, so that they don't get activated and take over. Okay? So, yeah. And going back to internal family systems, right? So it says that there are all these parts of ourselves fighting to take over and like trying to keep us safe and trying to do all the things that they think they need to do. And then somewhere there is your true self. And that's why it's so important to use the metacognition, to be present, to come back, to be the observer. Because when you are doing that, you are truly connecting with that true self that is down there. And then that true self is the one that can look up and say, okay, I see what's happening. I see this part of me is it's triggered because it's feeling unsafe and wants to sabotage this thing I'm doing because it feels it's going to be unsafe to do that. This part of me feels shame about this and wants to hide. And this part of me feels social anxiety and doesn't let me go out and be myself, because being myself in the past didn't work out well. So now, what is it going to work out? So I'm going to shut that down. But the true self can see all of that. And if you can create more time with that true self and then connect with those parts of you from that place without reacting, without feeling dysregulated, you are going to start grounding everything down. You're going to start talking to everyone, calming them down, grounding them down, and acting on a way that serves everybody to the best of the ability, right? So, yeah. You are learning to trust all your layers, Emilio. Yeah. It's difficult sometimes to trust, but yeah, you are totally correct. Carmen says, I appreciate the idea of getting some distance from the internal chapter and watching it with curiosity. It's a challenge, though, especially when life feels heavy. Thank you for your authenticity, Emilio. Yeah, Carmen, and again, it's very easy to be said. It's very difficult to be done when we are triggered, when we are in that hole and we are too deep down there. That's why self-compassion is important. That's why if you are noticing that you are deep down there, don't try to feel perfect and better and be, because that's too far away, right? Try to like if you are in that hole, don't try to in one jump get all the way to the surface and then fly into the sky. It's gonna be very undoable. But just find the next step. Okay, I'm feeling down. Okay, now I'm feeling angry. Okay, now I'm feeling a little bit less angry and I'm feeling a little bit more compassionate. Okay, now I'm feeling curious. So slowly you keep climbing up that emotional scale, and it's a process. It's not like a one leap jump majority of the times. Okay, that's why self-compassion is so important, because sometimes it just takes time. Yeah, I love that self-awareness, Carmen, Hale, and Emilio. Thank you so much, Becca. Yeah, do you guys have any other? We have 15 minutes left, so we may have time for a, maybe if you have a specific situation or if you have a question, if you want to share your experience in your journey with executive functioning skills also, if there is something that is working for you and you want to share. So Marjorie says, Sorry, Patrick says, one thing I like about Spain that you might be missing are the social connections with your neighbors. You are greeted by many people over the course of a day. Yeah, it's harder there in a more car-oriented community. Yeah, Patrick, 100% agree with that. That social aspect is very different here where I am. It's very car-centric. Marjorie says, if we are aware that we have long been struggling with a lot of the skills in the last largest category, are there some that have seen to be more foundational to build on or easier to make progress and gain confidence? So Marjorie, that's why I always say that the more specific you can be with what you are looking at, the easier it's going to be to understand which one may be most relevant for you. So if you have something, Marjorie, if there is something in your life right now that you are feeling the most challenged with, that you feel inspired to share, we can see which ones may apply in that specific occasion. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be something like, I don't know, this morning I struggled with this. Or for example, when I moved into this house, I have a specific example that you're going to understand. I wanted to find a place to work. I wanted to find a place to set my computer, to connect to the internet, and I have a list on my journal of things that I wanted to complete. Okay? So looking at that list, I was feeling overwhelmed. I am in a new house. I don't know where the Wi-Fi is. I don't know where the outlet is. I don't know where, I don't know where I'm going to be sitting down. So there were a lot of things happening. And I was noticing that one day went by and I didn't set the computer. Another day went by, I didn't set the computer. And I was feeling overwhelmed because what I was trying to do is do everything all at once. So what did I do? I applied these executive functioning skills and I asked myself, okay, Emilio, what's happening now? I am feeling overwhelmed. Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. It makes sense. You are in a new environment. You are doing a lot. You are with a new pet. You are trying to learn what's happening, what you need to do. So breathe through that. It's okay to be overwhelmed. Okay, I don't know where to sit. There are literally 6 tables around an outdoor area. I don't know where the best place to sit down and work is. Okay, makes sense. You don't know that. Okay, I don't know where the Wi-Fi is. There are 3 different Wi-Fis. I don't know which one I should use. So there were a lot of things that were happening, right? So what I did is like, okay, right now, Emilio, you are going to bring the computer and put it on top of the counter. That's it. So I did that and then I kept doing stuff. The next step is you're going to open the computer and you're going to connect to the Wi-Fi. Done. I did that. After I came, okay, the next step is you're going to plug the computer into the power and you're going to bring your journal and put it beside it. Done. And then after that, okay, now you're going to go into the internet and you're going to do the first thing on your list. Okay, I did it, done. And then slowly it started to happen, right? But if I didn't sequence it in that way, if I didn't change what it meant to complete the task, I couldn't initiate the task because I was feeling overwhelmed, because it was very unclear. It was too big of a task. And I was feeling like, I don't want to do that. It's just too much work. So this is one example of something very concrete and how to look at it from the executive functioning skills aspect. So that's why it's so important that you try to find something as concrete as you can, okay? And then we can look at it. Way to fight against procrastination. Yeah, Patrick, but sometimes we can learn from procrastination. Sometimes the procrastination is happening because we are not honoring our brain. We are not really acknowledging that how we are trying to do something is just not the best way for us. And if we can just pause, we can just take a breath, we can just honor ourselves enough to say, Emilio, you deserve a pause. You deserve some time to think about this. It's okay if you are overwhelmed. That doesn't mean that you are failing. That doesn't mean that you are lazy. That doesn't mean that you don't know what you are doing. It just means that you need to find a different approach. So let's find one together. And let's just be curious. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. We'll try a different one. And let's just make it a game. So you know what I mean? Like, it's a very different approach than when I am not acknowledging how I'm feeling. I am not honoring myself in my needs. And I'm also telling myself, Emilio, you should be doing this. You are not doing enough. Emilio, you are dropping the ball. Emilio, you are not showing up. So just notice the difference, right? So very important. So let me see. Okay. Okay. So there is a question from Marjorie. So if we are aware that we have long been struggling with a lot of the skills in the last, so I did read this one already. So Peter says, Val asked earlier, how do you activate, support, nurture the executive functionings that you find challenging, like task initiation or task completion? And I'll add sequencing. So Peter, that is a wonderful question, and I think it's from Valerie, from Val. Thank you. So how do you nurture a skill that you are noticing you are struggling with? And you were talking about task initiation, task completion, and transitioning, right? So again, it's very important to understand and to pick a specific scenario. Okay, I'm gonna pick another specific example that you guys are going to understand. So I have my guitar here, okay? Imagine that you have a guitar and you want to learn a song, okay? If my task completion is, I'm gonna sit on that couch, I'm gonna grab my guitar, and I'm going to learn a song in 5 minutes. Most likely, and from experience, most likely, I will avoid sitting on that couch. I will not play that song. And when I start recognizing the reasons why, is because learning a song is not a 5-minute task. When you are trying to play a song on the guitar, there are many different components that need to happen. So you need to learn the chords and place the fingers properly, the left hand. There is a right hand rhythm that you have to master. You have to put those things together. There are lyrics that you need to learn or read. Majority of the times you need to get the song, you need to get the chords, you need to get the lyrics. You have to have them somewhere where you can see them when you are sitting with the guitar. You need to be in a space that you are not going to be interrupted. You have to remember to do it. So there are a lot of things that happen, right? So when I changed sitting down for 5 minutes to learn the song and noticing that I was procrastinating and I wasn't getting it done, I changed the task initiation, I changed the task completion to, okay, I'm gonna sit for 2 minutes and I'm going to practice the 3 chords that this song has. It's C, D, E. Okay, I'm gonna just one strum, E, D. So 2 minutes, put a timer went off, I got up, get going with my day. I will put the guitar in the middle of the living room so that I could see it. And then my goal was to sit for 2 minutes and just practice that. As I progresses on the chord, I practice the right hand. As I progress on the right hand, I practice the lyrics. And then I will print the lyrics, put them in my pocket, and I will take them with me, and I will read the lyrics every now and then and try to sing them while I was walking, while I was doing something. And slowly, I got to learn the song. But as you can see, it's not a... So the definition here was to change the definition of the task completion. Instead of being, I'm gonna sit for 5 minutes and learn the song, I'm gonna sit for 2 minutes and practice my strumming. I'm gonna sit for 2 minutes and practice the lyrics. I'm gonna sit for 2 minutes and practice my left hand. The task initiation was easier because the guitar was on a visual place. The task initiation was easier because I did print the song and I had everything beside the guitar on a stand so that I could sit and it was comfortable. So there is no setting up the space to do it. It's always set up. I just have to sit down and do it. So I remove a lot of the resistance that was happening, right? And then the task completion is 2 minutes on the timer. And every time I hit the timer and it went off, I felt accomplished. I felt, oh, I completed the task. I am making progress. So that created motivation, that created momentum, that created the song was coming along. And in a few days, in a few weeks, whatever long it takes, I was able to play that song. So this is an example of going from feeling overwhelmed, procrastinating, into changing, reframing, making a smoother task initiation, making a smoother and clear task completion, making the transitioning into the task and out of the task easier by having everything set up. So this is one example of how to do it. And I hope that answered your question. So let me see. It's like the principle from getting things done, asking yourself, what is the next action? Yeah. It's so important to us. So what is the next thing I need to do? And remember about the sequencing, right? Every time you are procrastinating, every time you are feeling perfectionism, every time you are feeling overwhelmed, remember, how can I sequence this in smaller chunks? How can I make this activity into smaller activities that are easier for me to initiate and complete? How can I transition in and out of this activity in the most easier way? And this will apply to you using the kitchen. This will apply to you playing instruments. This will apply to you dealing with your kids, getting them dressed, getting them on time to school, any hobby that you may have, time management, planning your week. So there are so many areas that you are going to be using this for. Okay? The next task could be play the song for us. Yeah, I could do that, I guess. Yeah, so let me see what else you guys are saying. Changing start and end points and task definitions is so helpful. Yeah, Val, that can be the difference between you procrastinating and you getting unstuck. And I also have a course about procrastination, by the way. It's called Overcoming and Healing Your Procrastination. And everything is tied together, right? Executive functioning skills is one course. Procrastination is one course. I have a course on time management. So I have different courses that allow you to dive into these things. And every course has a somatic practice, hopefully, that will allow you to create the time to reflect. It's like a little guided meditation where you are going to connect with I do one session for each of these executive functioning skills. So for example, if we are looking at transitioning, I will remind you what transitioning is. I will give you a few examples, and then I will invite you to jump into an experience where you're going to be breathing, you're going to close your eyes, you're going to have some music, and then you're going to reflect about your life, your day, last 24 hours, last week, last month. You're going to connect with a specific experience where you were using transitioning. Maybe you did it successfully, maybe you struggled, and then that's going to help you become aware. And then at the end, there are strategies that you can use to make that skill better. So these are some strategies. You could try to do this, you could try to do that, you could try this approach, you could try to overcome this, and then all combined, hopefully it's going to help you go back to that similar experience. And when it happens again, you are going to hopefully react differently. You're going to learn, you're going to tweak how you transition, you're going to tweak how you task initiate, you're going to self-regulate better, you're going to use your metacognition to become the observer, you are going to create a pause so that you don't act impulsively, and everything else is going to fall into place, okay? So Ravinder, where are your courses? So my courses are on Insight Timer. You can find all of them on Insight Timer. If you go to my profile and you go to courses, they are all listed there. And if you want video courses on other topics like home organization and minimalism, and there are other video courses on different topics that you can find them also on my profile link on Insight Timer. There is a section that says courses. You click in there and you will be guided to my website, and some of the video courses are on my website, but Insight Timer has all the audio courses that I have, okay? And there is a course classroom that you can use that I will support you there too. And for those of you who want to go deeper, I also offer one-on-one coaching through video calls, and I also offer support and accountability through WhatsApp. It works really well. I do have a lot of time now to take on new clients, and I do offer a free consultation, a free discovery call that you can also book on my profile link on Insight Timer. If you go there, you will see an option to book your free discovery call. Is normally around 45 minutes. And it's just a call to be curious. It's just a call to connect in person through video. And I will be super happy to try and be helpful, to guide you into what's next for you. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's a track that I have, maybe it's another teacher that I know. And if it's going deeper into working together one-on-one, we can explore and create a package that serves you best, okay? And also something that I added, that was one of the tasks that I had on my journal when I was trying to do work. I added share a review on Google, okay? So if you feel inspired and what I do touches you and your life, I would really, really appreciate if you could just click in there and just leave a review. It will go to Your Thriving Lifestyle. That is the name of the circle on Insight Timer. That is the name of my podcast, and that is the name of kind of my presence, what I'm trying to do. So I would really, really love if you can support me with a review too, okay? But yeah, these are some of the things that I'm excited about. And as always, a donation here is always wonderful. You can donate here during the live session. You can also donate on my profile. And there is also a link on my profile that you can click and it will go to a PayPal option too. So many options to support me. Could be financially, could be through a review, or maybe it could be through like working together, if that's something that. And then I also want to share something that it came to me in one meditation I was doing the other day. I was in silence and it came to me the idea of doing a winter circle, okay? But I want to do that circle. I envision that circle being video call, so using Zoom. So not here on Insight Timer, because I really want to see you. I really want to engage with a few of you that may be interested in this. And what came up was to create a Google form where I ask what days of the week, what time, what kind of format works best for you, and is there any interest in doing this? So, because I don't want to also waste time, but I would love this winter that it's going to be cold and rainy. I'm going to have houses to sit. I'm going to have internet, and it gets dark really soon here. I would love to have a weekly circle or bi-weekly or twice a week. Depends on the interest. I'm just curious to know, is that something that you guys are interested? Is that something that you will look into? And if yes, I can create a little link to ask all these questions and maybe share it in the circle. Thank you so much for your donations. Sounds great. Yes, sounds great. Sounds good. Would love to do winter circle. Amazing. Okay, so I guess I will put it together and then see what comes out of that. And at the beginning, I think it's going to be a co-creation. So when we do a circle, I will be hosting the circle, but the idea is that we are all equal in the circle. The idea is that I will be guiding the circle and creating the structure, but it's not about what I want or what I need. It's about what the circle needs, and it will be different every day, most likely. But there are certain structures that I will share from my experience running circles, doing circles in different contexts. What I have seen is the most helpful, and what I feel that the benefits could be from a circle like that. So yeah, amazing. Have to go to another insight. Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you so much for your donations and support. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on Thursday if you can join. Okay? Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Adios.